So, folks, the Acolyte is already at the first two episodes were a disaster. And I think across the board, the numbers of dislikes and the amount of people that are tearing it apart is rightfully so. Those numbers are growing, okay, and rightfully so because of the utter disaster that this show is. But episode 3 has come out tonight, and I'm not really gonna get into all the things that we could talk about um, with how the show was written, and you know um, the superficial things, like what I consider superficial. I mean, like, characters and places that characters are at and all that stuff. Those to me are superficial. And if you want an in-depth review, you need to go somewhere else and watch those reviews, because it has been reviewed in depth. People reviewing it for 3 to 4 hours. You can find those videos on YouTube. That's not what I'm gonna do tonight, because I'm not gonna talk about what happens in the show, and or any of that. I'm not gonna talk about that. What I'm gonna talk about is something that I've noticed, that they seem to be missing in their reviews. They seem to not include what I'm about to say, because they're not thinking of the actual problem here. Okay. And I'll tell you what the actual problem is. Okay. The Acolyte is woke. Okay. That's not even a hidden, something that's withheld or hidden. That's Leslie Headland and all the people that are working at Lucasfilm or have made the show. They admit that they want it to be gay. Okay. So it's no surprise that it's woke. That's not what we're contending here. Okay. It's woke. And even if they didn't say it, we could tell that it's woke. But the thing that people, when they review and they say this is trash, this is garbage, it is garbage and it is trash. But, it's not because, and this is the point these people make, is, well, it's the writing is terrible. The writing is terrible, and it's making these characters terrible, and it's woke, and there is an agenda. But they say the main problem is that it's the bad writing. Well, here's the thing. Here's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is it's not the bad writing as it is the messaging that is in it. Because here's the thing. You can have a TV show with terrible writing, but they could have a good story behind it. They could be something that the whole family could watch, but have terrible writing. Okay. There could be movies that have terrible writing, but the point of the movie that, there may not be gifted writers who are making the movie, or who are writing the script, I should say, but they could be making a movie with, good intentions, with a good mind or heart behind it, where it could be a family flick, and it's something that you could enjoy with your kids. I mean, so bad writing doesn't take away from something's value. Okay. The messaging is what takes away the value. And whatever the TV show or film or book or whatever it is, whatever the messaging is going to determine if it's destructive or if it's beneficial. Okay. If it's going to destroy or if it's going to help, and you don't want to be a part of George Lucas even said himself, you never want to be a part of the problem. You always want to be a part of the solution. Okay. And I believe that that is a very true thing in life is, if you want to bring value to something, you got to go back to the roots of what it means to what is healthy, what is constructive for everybody, and with principles and things that people can live by that are not corrupted or tailored to a certain group of people with sexual preferences or sexual identities or whoever they are attracted to, right? So my thing here is, and I just see this, is it's not the writing that is making this terrible. It's the messaging. Having, and like I said, we're not going to get into this is not going to be a 2 or 3 hour review. I'm not going to get into any of that. I'm going to talk about simply where these other people are. They seem to, again, they're not expressing the true problem. One is because they don't have the spiritual eyes to see what the true problem is. They see the problem, but they're not addressing the problem. It's like they're skimming right through it. The problem is that wokeism, not only, well, first of all, it's a communist movement. It's Marx's, it's a Marxist ideology, and it's communist. But aside from that, the spiritual implications of it is it destroys the natural order of things. Okay, that's what it sets out to do, and it wants to destroy the natural order of how things are to reinstate its version of what it wants. Okay, these woke people that are behind this stuff, they want to basically reconstruct society in their image, where now if you're heterosexual, that's a bad thing. And now if you want to stay with which is biologically true, which is men can't become women and women can't become men, and you want to stick to true biology, well, then that's a bad thing, right? And so that's what wokeism is. It's seeking to replace the natural order of things with its own identity. Okay, and when you have that kind of messaging in anything, it's going to be destructive. I was hearing people say on Geeks and Gamers that, well, it doesn't matter if they're gay. Now, they did say this. It doesn't matter if they're gay. What matters is if the writing is good. Well, it does matter if they're gay, and it does matter that the messaging is there. Like, you cannot. Here's the thing: if you have a gay person as the one of the main characters in a TV show or a film, okay, and the thing is, people say you're being a hater, you hate homosexuals. I don't hate the person, but I do not and will not go along with delusion or go along with something that is against biology. Okay, we are not created to have sex with other men. Okay, the society was not built on that. It was built on heterosexual relationships. That's how families were built. That is the natural order of things. And all biology, human biology screams that. It screams the natural order of things. Okay, and that's how healthy families exist and thrive. So when they say that, it's not because of the gay people, it's because of just the writing. Well, here's the thing: that is not the problem. The problem is the messaging, and it will always be the messaging. Okay, what you see on screen, okay, is what is let me put it in a terms like this: out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. Okay, when a person is writing a film, or when they are producing a film, when there's a whole team of people working on this, right, and they're all in agreement, this is how it should be made. Okay, the reason that film or TV show comes out the way it is because that's how they wanted it to be. Okay. And it's like not a mistake that those things are in it, and it's not. But again, what matters is that they all want the same thing. Everybody who made the Acolyte all want to see homosexuality pushed. They want to see transgenderism pushed. They want to see destructive lifestyles pushed on everybody. Okay. And if you say, well, it's just a few characters that are written bad, or the director's a bad director, but if it was anybody else, it'd be no, 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 no. See, these people have an agenda, and the agenda is to push a social narrative that is destructive. And if you say, well, it's just because of the writing, it's just because of there were bad actors in it, no, you got to understand something, is that Leslie Headland made a show about her sexual deviancy and her sexual perverseness, and how she wants everybody else to accept that, and to also be okay with that in society, and to have your kids watch it and your kids be okay with it, and your kids learn about how to have, and I'm sorry, butt sex with another boy. Okay, at what, age 10, age 11? I mean, Star Wars was really geared for kids, but back in the day when George made Star Wars, Luke Skywalker was a hero, okay? And Princess Leia was a princess, but Princess Leia had valor. Luke had valor. Even Han Solo the smuggler had valor. And then when you get to the prequels, you understand, as a teenager growing up, or being a young adult, and you finally get around to watching the prequels, okay, you see that George was telling us, again, a Star Wars story about people, and it was a really a positive story, but it was what not to be. And now that you're getting older, and we see Anakin in this light, we see Anakin as us. George is saying, don't be like Anakin. And watch out for government, because government is fragile, and government can easily be corrupted if people give their freedoms away to somebody who's going to take it away from them. Okay, that government is not it's not something that, has a force field around it and can't be touched from destruction. Government can fall, and George was telling that in Star Wars, that a republic can become an empire, and it's happened before in history, and it's happening right now in our own backyard, really. But the point is that, there are so many people reviewing this, so many people talking about this, and they're not getting to the point. The point is, it's not about the writing. It's not about um, who's acting in it. It's not about certain people that were sitting around at the table deciding on what's going to be in this scene, what's going to be in that scene, and the storyboards, or any of that stuff. Okay, it's not about that. It's about the message. The message. Okay. One reason why I distaste horror movies. I used to like them when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I really do not like them, because the messaging in horror movies is, and people try to, again, um, they want to basically redefine what horror is. They try to make excuses for horror movies on why you should see horror movies. But the reality is, horror movies, slasher movies, paranormal movies, monster, rated R monster movies, where people are getting ripped apart and all this stuff, right? Like getting their heads chopped off, and by Jason Voorhees and stuff like that, like, or those types of movies. The messaging is violence, and the messaging is go to the movie theater and watch Jason kill people, dissect them, butcher them. Go to the movies to watch some mutant monster hiding in somewhere deep in, the Everglades. Go watch it, and you'll see in the movie is people getting devoured by this evil mutant creature, right? And you go to see death and you go to be scared, the messaging in that movie is death and being scared, and you're going and you're paying money to see that. Okay. Well, I don't like to see that's destructive. Those movies are destructive. They do not teach anything else other than it's okay to kill people. And it's cool to kill people. It's cool to see Michael Myers kill people. Okay? Um Murder is not okay. Okay? And war movies are different because war movies are historical. War movies have their place, okay? And they can really sometimes when you're telling a story like Saving Private Ryan, sometimes those movies are better to show the reality of what actually happened than to try to neuter everything, to try to neuter the reality of war. I'm not talking about war movies. War movies have their place. What I'm talking about is movies that don't teach anything but destructive behavior. Okay. And The Acolyte is no different. The Acolyte teaches destructive behavior. And it's not about the writing. You cannot write something like The Acolyte with all the same characters, with the same narrative, with the same agenda. You cannot write it but then go and say, well, if they just had better writers, like it's terrible, it sucks, it's woke, but if they had better writers, I could stomach the woke stuff. I'm sorry. If you can say that, then you have real moral issues. Real moral issues. Because your morality is you have no morality. Because if that's the case and you say, I am okay watching main characters be gay and I'm supposed to rally behind gay characters and I'm supposed to root for the transgender characters because they're written well. I'm sorry, I am a straight male. I'm a heterosexual male. I cannot root for someone who's gay because I know that's a destructive lifestyle. And I would not let my kids watch anything associated. I would never let my kids watch The Acolyte. I would never let them see a show where the main character is gay or to where my kids would have to ask, why does he kiss another man? I would never let my kids anywhere near that material. I would never let them near horror movies. I would never let them near anything. I wouldn't even let them see Saving Private Ryan until they were a bit old enough to see it, okay? To where they were old enough to see it, and you know what I mean? I would be responsible with it. Even war movies, okay? Um, but that's just, again, uh, war movies have their place, but all this other stuff, and the thing is, the violence in Star Wars, and we're talking about woke stuff, but the violence in Star Wars, George made a point by saying that, war and these in confrontations in society, they happen all the time. But, in Star Wars, you see hope prevail. Hope is the message in Star Wars. Hope is, you know, the message. The message is good must destroy evil. That's the messaging in Star Wars. And that's a good positive message that people can get behind and watch, okay? Um, that families can watch because that's something that are values. They mean something, okay? It means something to want to do the right thing and to vanquish evil. That's good. That's healthy. That keeps a society clean and it keeps a society sane to abhor evil, to strive to do the right thing. But what we're seeing in Disney, Star Wars, and The Acolyte is a complete destruction of that. Even in Star Wars, in George's Star Wars, where there may be where Anakin bursts into flames and we see him put on the suit, like even that was um you understood why that happened, because it wasn't that George was saying, I want to be gory for the sake of being gory. I am saying that Anakin made the wrong decisions. He costed him his wife. It costed him his best friend. It costed him, even to Anakin's knowledge, his children. And this, basically, Anakin has to live in hell. And this is the consequences of being selfish your entire life. That is what George was showing in Darth Vader. He was saying, don't be this person. You understood why Anakin fell, and you understood his pain, but George was saying, don't be like him. That was the point. And that is positive, because that is teaching kids, don't be selfish. Okay. The dark side is like an addiction. Don't get addicted to, substances that are destructive. Don't, feel anger. Don't feel hate. These are things that we deal with, but don't feel them. Don't live by those things, because they will hurt you. They will destroy you. And so the clear difference here is that, the messaging is what matters. Okay. Is this going to, if your kids watch if you have kids and you are watching The Acolyte with your kids, you should be ashamed of yourself, because to be honest with you, you have no morality whatsoever. You have no discernment. You have nothing. You have no way of, it's just not something that you need to be supporting. Just like if there was a Nazi rally in your downtown area, a neo-Nazi rally, and you went, okay, and your kids asked, what does it mean to hate Jewish? They're holding signs, death to Jews, okay, and your kids ask you, what does it mean to hate Jewish people? Like, what was the Holocaust? Like, why are they saying, all the stuff? Like, don't take your kids to a place where they have to ask questions like that. Okay, let them be old enough. The Acolyte is tailored towards children. It's tailored towards, the younger generation. And so all I'm saying is that the messaging is much more than the writing. And if you're saying, well, it's just the bad, no, that's not it. That's not the important thing. The writing is not the important thing. That's not the important issue. The issue is the narrative. What's in it? What is it conveying? What's the message? Why is it conveying that? Who's it targeted to? What's going on here? Okay. Why is this, being obsessed over? What's their goal with this? And if you have any integrity with you whatsoever, you see that The Acolyte, the messaging is, promote sexual destructive behaviors, promote unnatural affection, promote transgender surgeries. Really what it is, gender affirming surgery, because ultimately that's what it boils down to, is that you have transgenders in there too. Promote delusion, promote lies, be anti-biology. It is promoting everything that would tear a society down, that would destroy a society. Okay, it's promoting all of that. It's not even Star Wars. It's when you're invested in something, when you're a Star Wars fan and you see that and you see it for what it is, you're like, this has nothing to do with Star Wars. This has nothing to do. This is a message from the world elites. Okay. Again, what's the messaging? Why is it conveying this? What's the purpose here? Why are they doing that? Don't blow over it and don't say, well, it's just bad writing. No, there is an actual purpose as to why they are doing these things. It's not that someone messed up in the writing room, or it's not because you have some dolt with a pen and they're trying to figure out how to make the script work. No. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has everything to do with the messaging. What's in it? Why is it saying this? Who's it convey? What's conveyed here? What is this? What is this? I mean, seriously. And if you say, well, it's just, Well, it's just different. No, yeah, it's very different. It's not even recognizable as Star Wars. That's how bad and different it is. But here, again, I have to tell you that if you are still, and I have to tell you this, and I don't usually get this, you know, but I am passionate about this, but I'm more concerned than passionate right now. I'm more concerned than passionate right now because I am a Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was a little boy, and I'm in my 30s now. Okay. Um, the reality here is that, you know, this isn't about being a Star Wars fan. This is about looking at it objectively and saying, this is not at all good for anybody except for the people. And it's not even good for the woke people, the homosexuals and the transgenders and all these other people that are living these kind of these unnatural lifestyles, these destructive lifestyles, these delusional lifestyles. It's not even good for them because it reinforces in their mind their narcissism. It validates their narcissism. It validates they're watching something to validate their own perversions. Okay, and it has nothing to do with This has nothing to do with Star Wars. This has absolutely nothing to do with being a Star Wars fan. This is called, you see things and you see the wolves coming and you point out, there's the wolves down there. Take all your kids inside. That's what we're dealing with here. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. It has nothing to do with the writing. It has everything to do with what's being conveyed here. You would not if you take your 5-year-old, 6-year-old, or 10-year-old son even to go see Freddy Krueger rip some girl to shreds in her own dream, and she's bleeding all over the floor. If you go to take your kid to that, you should be ashamed of yourself. And if you do that, then you will take your kids to go see something like The Acolyte. Even if you've never seen a Freddy Krueger, even if you've never seen a horror movie, the fact of the matter is, you don't seem to think that any of this is wrong. And if you don't think this is wrong, then you're not going to think something like, to be honest with you, taking your kid to go see a strip show. If you don't think that there's anything wrong with The Acolyte, then you're the type of person that would go and take your kids to go see a drag show or a strip show. Okay, because that's the thing. The people that love The Acolyte, the people that don't have a problem with The Acolyte, and I'll go a step further, the people that think that it's just because of the writing, that it's just because there was bad writing. If you think that, then you don't even see what the real problem is. You don't see the real problem. You're just like, well, I'm getting kind of tired of this woke stuff, but if the writing was a little, no, it's not about the writing. If you can stomach the woke stuff, there's something wrong with you. There is. You have no morality about you. You don't, because good is bad to you and bad is good, or you just don't believe in any good or bad. So therefore, you're a dangerous human being. That's what a psychopath is. And you're a dangerous human being, and nobody needs to be around you at all. That's the type of people that this is directed to. The nihilists, the narcissists of the world, the perverse of the world, the delusional of the delusions that people have, the all of it. Okay? There is nothing that can fix Disney Star Wars. Nothing. It's too far gone. It's too far gone. It's not, it was never meant. When Kathleen Kennedy got a hold of Star Wars, her goal was never to make Star Wars great again, or Star Wars was already great when George had it. It was already great. It was fine. Okay. But everybody thought that Kathleen Kennedy was going to take the next step and keep it alive. No, that was never her intentions. Her intentions, and J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson and all of them, their intentions were never to make Star Wars to keep the fire alive. Their goal was to, again, rewrite it in their image to fit their messaging, their socialist messaging. That's what it boils down to. And Star Wars was always going in this direction under Kathleen Kennedy. The problem is not Kathleen Kennedy as it is the people behind her, the people that are giving Disney their pay. Yeah, and Bob Iger does receive a paycheck from people that are above him, the elites, the ones that are pushing this, the ones that are pushing the diversity, inclusion, or diversity, equity, and inclusion narratives, and the ESG scores and all of that. There are people above Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy who wants these things in everything. These are really evil people. And so with Star Wars now, this is just a tool, something that they've used, that they've weaponized and used. And this is a tool it's not to get this is not to make the Acolyte is not a show to make Star Wars fans. This is not a show that's going to make future Star Wars fans. This is a show that is going to reinforce delusion in society. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just because the Star Wars was a well-known name, and people, since The Force Awakens came out, non-Star Wars fans went to go see it, and they had a superficial liking of Star Wars, and they weren't real Star Wars fans, but Star Wars kind of got to more ears than maybe it had in the past. And, basically now everybody's familiar with Star Wars. In a sense, but because of its popularity, it was the perfect tool for someone like Klaus Schwab or the World Economic Forum and the people that are paying Disney and Kathleen Kennedy to do these things. Okay, it was a perfect opportunity and avenue for them to say, okay, well, it's no longer under George Lucas anymore, so it's free game. We can do whatever we want. And we're going to use this as a weaponization platform. And that's what they did. This is not about making this Acolyte, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, The Acolyte, Andor, everything that was made outside of when George was still president of Lucasfilm, all those things, if you notice, every single thing made outside of George's Star Wars, outside of when he was running Lucasfilm, all have the same really theme behind it. And if you look at all of them, there is wokeness in it. The only one that really you could say, maybe not so much, was Rogue One. But even then, there were scenes with Jyn Erso that you're like, yeah, but that's in there because of course, those reasons, right? But all of it has that, and it's getting to a point to where it's becoming more and more and more apparent that that's the goal. And the goal is not to make Star Wars fans. The goal is not to even cater to the superficial Star Wars fans. The goal is to push the narrative. The goal is to push a narrative that has absolutely nothing to do with movies or TV shows or Lucasfilm or Star Wars or any of it. That's not the goal. That's not the goal. The goal has nothing to do with anything related to the mythology of Star Wars, the story of Star Wars, none of it. Everything that's happening right now with the Acolyte is the culmination of the true goal, the true message, okay, which is destruction, not destruction of Hollywood or the destruction of Lucasfilm, but the destruction of society, of people's morality, the destruction of what kept a society sane. What kept America sane? Your mom and your dad getting married, having kids, you being born, you have a brother that's born, you have a sister that's born, and then you grow up and you continue the family legacy, and you have children, you get married, you become a 30-year-old man, and you find a woman, and you guys get married, and you guys have children. Okay, that's the whole point of a healthy society, is you continue with the natural order of things. The Acolyte is a show that has absolutely nothing to do with Star Wars. It is a reflection of our society. It is a grotesque mirror image of our society. And that's the point. It has absolutely nothing to do with Star Wars. If you just get rid of the Star Wars, just get rid of the Star Wars title, just get rid of that. Replace it with socialist messaging, socialist propaganda, episode 1, The Acolyte. That's the title that it should have, because that's what it is. Okay, it has nothing to do with Star Wars. Nothing. The Leslie Headland is not a Star Wars fan. Okay, she's not. Anybody can say anything that they want, but that doesn't mean that that really is what it is. Okay, I could say I could fool 20 people and tell them that I'm a surgeon, that I'm a heart surgeon, and I've done over 40 operations. Okay, I could say that, but does that make it true? No. I can say that all I want, and I can use lingo, doctorate lingo, all I want, but then does that make it true? No. So Leslie Headland can say whatever she wants, and she can fool people, but not people who know what they're talking, not people who know what the real deal is. Okay. If I approached a real surgeon and acted like I knew how to be a surgeon, and he asked me questions, I wouldn't know how to answer those questions. I look like a complete fool because I'm not a surgeon. The same thing with Leslie Headland. It's obvious she has no idea what Star Wars is, and she doesn't care. She doesn't care. This is not about Star Wars. This is about her narcissism. This is about the ESG scores. This is about all of the things that would destroy a society. That's what this show is about. Star Wars was under George a social commentary. But the social commentary of Star Wars was not present day politics washed down your throat and you're forced to ingest it, or completely, just basically, that was not in Georgia Star Wars. It was a social commentary, but the social commentary was the real existence of good and evil in this world, and it was conveyed in Star Wars. And good people did things that were good, and bad people did things that were bad. The good person, like Luke sacrificed himself for his friends and his father being a bad person ended up seeing Luke's sacrifice and decided that he didn't want to be bad anymore. And so he decided to do the right thing for once. And see, so good and evil was conveyed in Star Wars, and it was something that people could rally behind. Evil people did this and good people did that. Okay. People with good intentions did this. People with bad intentions did that. Okay. And the dictators did this, the emperor did this, and the Jedi did that. Okay. And that was good versus evil. And the Jedi were clearly good. Were they perfect? No. But is anybody perfect? But yet they were the good guys. And the Sith were the bad guys. And that was it. It was good and evil. Okay. And that's why it became so popular and so famous, because people could get behind it. But now you're not dealing with that anymore. You got to get that out of your head. You're not dealing with that. Star Wars, Disney Star Wars is not Star Wars, guys. The people that are still watching Disney Star Wars, I have to tell you, okay, you are not watching Star Wars. You are watching it's like, I don't even know. You're watching it's like the hermit crab that leaves its shell to find a new shell. You're watching the empty shell. And the hermit crab is long gone. Hermit crab is left. The hermit crab is nowhere to be found. And all you're doing is you're staring at the shell. And you're like, oh my gosh, this hermit crab is so great. And the hermit crab is not even there. And you're just watching the empty shell. If you are still in love with Disney Star Wars, that's what you're doing. The crab is left. It's gone. The crab was George, really. It's gone. It went elsewhere. It's not coming back. Okay, and you're just watching the empty. You're staring at an empty shell. Delusional, thinking that it has something to do. No, the crab's not there. Star Wars is not there. It's gone. And this is, and you're not dealing with Star Wars anymore. You're dealing with a narrative that is a real life tyranny. It's the same type of thing that happened in other societies. Is they start to showcase their propaganda through several media outlets, several entertainment outlets. Nazi Germany did it. Soviet Russia did it. China still does it. Okay. And that it's nothing new. Communists always do this. And they say, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, this is legitimate. This is, I don't know how else to explain. If you can't see it, then you are super blind. You really are lost, because this is happened throughout history all the time. It's obvious. It is completely obvious. Even people that, haven't been paying attention, but who know that communism is bad, that know that this type of stuff is bad, even people that don't watch Disney Star Wars, who don't pay attention to it, can see what's happening in society, guys. And so this has nothing to do with Star Wars. This has everything to do with a political narrative. And this political narrative is going to just continue going on. And it doesn't matter if people boycott it. Should you boycott it? Yes. Boycott The Acolyte. I don't even have a Disney subscription anymore. I don't have one, and I'm not going to renew it. I'm just not. If they want to hijack episodes 1 through 6 and say, you can only get Star Wars through us. You have to pay us, the woke Disney Corporation. You have to pay us, $20 a month to watch episodes 1 through 6 in the Clone Wars. I'm not going to do it. The morality that I have, that I cling to, because I know that is positive. It's the right thing to do. Okay. That's more important to me than having a Disney membership. Okay. I'm not going to give them money. And, I'm just telling you guys, it's not coming. Star Wars ain't coming back. George is not going to fix it. George can't fix it. There's nothing to be fixed. Star Wars, there's nothing to do. Dave Filoni is compromised. I don't even know where Jon Favreau is. Jon Favreau is probably compromised as well. Kathleen Kennedy, of course, is a no-brainer. But, George is not going to be able to come back and fix it. He can't fix it. It's dead. It's done. It's just impossible. And so, yeah, guys, I wish I could tell you that there's a happy ending to this, but there isn't. Okay. If you own the Star Wars episodes 1 through 6, if you have the Clone Wars on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, that's it. That's what we have to remember Star Wars by, not all this other stuff, because all this other stuff has nothing to do with it. Guys, I wish I could tell you there was a happy ending to this. I wish I could tell you that there was something, that could be fixed here. Trust me, I wish there could be, but there isn't. Okay. I was adult because I thought The Force Awakens was great when it came out. And then the more I watched it, the worse it got. And the same thing with The Last Jedi, and the same thing with The Rise of Skywalker, and all these other shows and TV shows. The more I watch it, the more I realize it's not Star Wars. And I am not sitting around having someone buzz me in my ear, tell me how to think. I am a free thinker. I am an independent thinker, and I can see it for what it is, guys. So I'm not telling you to follow me or subscribe to me. I am telling you, you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to do it. You don't have to like this video. You don't have to share this video. This is not about me. I'm telling you the facts here. And I'm telling you this because someone needs to say it and nobody else is saying it. So guys, I hope you have a good night.